When you think about what scares you, you probably imagine all of those fears visually. After all, horror films and disturbing news is everywhere, and it's designed to frighten us. So isn't seeing something what makes us truly scared? The truth is, audio is where the real terror can be found. From our earliest moments in the womb, sound is the first connection that we make to the world. It's what contains our first introduction to fear itself and what can harm us. We even carry this into adulthood, where the creak of a floorboard in the night can be enough to keep us sleepless in our beds. But there are many worse sounds out there, and you should definitely avoid them if you want to sleep. But if you're brave enough, grab your headphones and come with me as we explore 5 recordings that you should never listen to. The Conit Project. Have you ever heard about cryptic broadcasts being made across the globe and no one really knows who they're being transmitted to? The Conit Project is a collection of those recordings, most of which are also known as number stations. Thousands of people from all over the world have recorded these broadcasts, and even more have tried to analyze them to figure out exactly what they are. They seem to originate from different locations and are connected to Russian and other governments. The eerie recordings repeat sequences of numbers over and over. In some instances, these are made by live human beings over a microphone, and in others, they are synthesized recordings. No one knows for sure what these broadcasts are used for, but they were at their height during the Cold War. It's been theorized that they were used for sending encoded instructions to spies in other countries, and some even believe that the transmissions were used to prime nuclear weapons if World War III had broken out. Others say that number stations contain encrypted information about alien visitors that are walking among us and other nefarious plots that must be decoded by the general human population before it's too late. The Galveston Hurricane. Back in 2004, a weatherman was staying at a San Luis resort hotel in Galveston, Texas. During his stay, a massive hurricane storm was crashing through the area. Named Hurricane Ike, this Category 4 storm had winds traveling at upwards of 145 miles per hour or 230 kilometers per hour. It killed hundreds of people and destroyed buildings throughout the region. Hurricane Ike passed across Galveston until its eye wall circled around the town. The eye wall was a massive boundary at the heart of the storm, and inside that circle the winds took on an almost animalistic quality, creeping up on the town before the true carnage returned. In this video, the sounds captured on the 11th floor of the San Luis resort are absolutely haunting. The winds slither like snakes throughout any gap in the building, creating a wail like a banshee. With any structural weakness, the wind would find it and tear the roof clean off. Those in the video did not know if they would survive, and thankfully the eye eventually passed. The sounds are still eerily unsettling, and when you watch the accompanying video of darkened hallways tormented by the ominous winds above, you will be reminded of how ferocious and terrifying nature really is. The Yowie. Listeners to radio shows like Coast to Coast will know that some of the spookiest audio ever recorded involves people sharing their strange experiences over the airwaves. In Australia, one such interview continues to scare people to this day. It took place during a call-in show called Overnights. The man who phoned claimed to have a terrifying encounter with a creature from Aboriginal Australian folklore. Known as the Yowie, this creature is a large humanoid that is said to be twice the height of a normal human being. These creatures are immensely powerful, but humans rarely run across their paths due to the huge expanse of uninhabited Australian outback. The man on the call-in show gave a harrowing account of how in 1978 he was stranded in an area known as Paliga. Something large and looming tore through the side of his car and dragged him off into the woods. The sound of fear in the man's voice as he recounts what happened to him is enough to give anyone sleepless nights.
This thing just first started a rocking and all these funny weird lights and that were dancing around outside, and I looked out and he pulled the door off the hinges, and this thing, like it defies the explanation of what it looked like. It was horrific, and when he realised that I was no good to him, he took me back. He took me back to the edge of the road, whatever it was. I assume it was a he.
Can you give us a, if I not pushing you too hard, what did it look like?
I can't explain it. It was horrible.
Sadly, the man has spent most of his life in a sanitarium ever since that encounter. Ancient whistles. When documenting some of the most frightening sounds ever recorded, we are limited to noises captured during the last 140 years or so, which is how long recording devices have existed. However, it is occasionally possible to delve even further back into the past and hear noises from human history designed to unnerve. The death whistle is an example of just this. It's one of the several ancient musical instruments that have been recreated and played for modern ears. Many of these whistles were expertly designed by the ancient indigenous peoples who populated Mexico over 700 years ago. Although their exact purpose is unknown, the sound they emit is clearly not for musical enjoyment. If anything, these whistles were designed to create fear and to unsettle. One theory is that the death whistle was played by Aztec warriors just before battle in order to put fear into the hearts of their enemies. Others believe these whistles were used before making a sacrifice to the gods. Imagine if these sounds were the last thing you heard on this earth. When the sound finished, the blade came down and the world went black. Demonic recordings. The internet is full of alleged recordings of supernatural entities. Some of these are caught accidentally while filming anything from a wedding to a birthday party, or even shooting a vlog for YouTube. But many of the most terrifying paranormal sounds come from recording devices being deliberately placed into haunting locations. Known as electronic voice phenomena, or EVP for short, these recordings are usually hazy and indistinct, sounding like human voices but hard to make out. Every now and then, however, someone catches something truly shocking. This was the case back in October of 2007. A group of paranormal investigators attempted to assist a Philadelphia homeowner who was frightened to sleep in their own home. Each night, something was making terrible noises in the basement, and it sounded as if someone was down there. The investigators left a recorder down in the basement to see if they could find anything and capture it. This is what they recorded. Experts believe that this sound may be one of the clearest examples of a non-human entity. In other words, a demon. And by the sound it made, no one should be left alone in that house in the night ever again. If you enjoyed this video, come tell me on twitch.tv/MatthewSantoro, where I'm live right now. Tap here to catch up on my recent uploads, and tap here for a similar video to this one. I'll see you soon.